Yeah, it's another beautiful day. Like I promised, I said I was gonna come here to discuss about this book, Cybernetics. It's an interesting read. So I'm gonna share some of the lessons from this book with us. So that's what today's conversation is going to be about. Cybernetics. And the author is Maxwell Maltz. But before I go into the lessons, I'll just talk briefly about the author. He was a surgeon, and he did several plastic surgery to help people reconfigure their look. So he discovered that there's a missing link between how people appeared and how they think they appeared. And it said that how people appeared is more about what is inside than what's outside. So he made a book. It's a self-help book. Very, very interesting, educative. So if you can get it, grab it. I posted a link, the YouTube link, for anyone who's interested in listening to the audio. The link is there. So I'm going to wait a little bit and see if there's going to be anyone watching the live show with me. So that's what today's conversation is going to be around. Cybernetics. Cybernetics. There are numerous lessons to learn from the book, but I cannot go into all because I've got 30 minutes to be here. So there's no way I can touch all the lessons, but I'll do my best. And possibly come back again next week to complete, because I wrote down about, let me see, about 15 points to discuss. So the 30 minutes is not enough time to discuss these 15 important lessons from Cybernetics. This is the book again. The link is there for whoever is interested to go and listen on YouTube. There's this science that once we are 30 years old and above, we become a repetition. We simply repeat ourselves. Once we are aged 30 years, we become a repetition. So the only way to stop being a repetition is to learn new things. Because you're programmed, the program is completed at 30. So in order for you to make a change in your life, a meaningful change in your life, you have to learn new things, associate with new people, learn new lessons. Then, hopefully, you might change. Without new knowledge, you're just going to be the same until you're God knows when. So that is why I am here to have this dialogue. Hopefully that somebody is going to learn one thing from it. So without wasting so much of our time and my time, I'll begin the conversation, the dialogue. The book is so powerful that you can even use it like your Bible. That is how powerful this book is. There's been so many testimonies from great people who have read the book, who have used the lessons from this book. I'm not just exaggerating. I have read it too, and I've learned a lot from it. So it's a very powerful book for anybody that's interested in changing their life. I recommended it to one of my friends recently, and he attests to the greatness of the writer, and he attests to the usefulness of the lessons. I like reading books that teach me about life. I don't do frictions, but I just want to know. Some people have lived and gathered their experience and put it in books. So I just want to grab those books and learn from their experience, because if I live 100 years, my experience is still limited. However, there are people who have lived, even if they lived Jesus Christ lived 33 years, and he left us a book, a life lesson. Prophet Muhammad lived 60 years. He left off a life lesson. So that's how it is. We learn from people who have come and gone. So there are still great books. Grab this book. So I'm just going to go straight. I spoke a little bit about the author. He was a surgeon, a plastic surgeon. He helped people restructure their look. Some after an accident, others who just wanted to look different. He helped them restructure their look. Then he discovered that there's a missing link between how people look and how people perceived themselves. So,
hey, Saul, you don't show me how to work the washer?
Later, I am in the middle of something now, okay. So I'll get to you in a bit. So there's a missing link. There's a missing link between how people looked and how they thought they looked. So he went in depth to write about that and prescribed some practices that if we do them, we are going to have a high self-esteem. We are going to be more productive, and we are going to think more and highly of ourselves. So the surgeon combined his daily experience with human psychology and came up with this book, Cybernetics. It was written in 1960 and is considered one of the best books on psychology, on human psychology. This is one of the best books. Other authors would always reference this book because it's one of the first books that will discuss about self-image. So first lesson, it's all about self-image. That's the first lesson here. What is self-image? Your self-image is simply how you see yourself. For example, he said, if you see yourself as somebody that's not good in mathematics, you always fail mathematics, because passing mathematics would mean that you're doing something opposite your self-image. So some people see themselves as someone who cannot succeed. So even if an opportunity comes, they have to fail. They have to fail because that is how they see themselves. They will run away from opportunities So self-image is the foundation to success. How you see yourself will determine how you behave. We all have our own peculiar self-image, and it determines whether we succeed, we fail. It determines basically all our behaviors. As a result, this image represents the foundation of which we build our personality. So the image, our self-image, is responsible for how we build our personality. So if success is not a part of our self-image, we are not going to succeed because it won't match. That will be contradictory. You see yourself as somebody that won't succeed, so you're not going to work towards that success. So the number one take home from this book is self-image. Most people let past experiences define them in a way that is negative. Therefore, they end up behaving in a way that is not coherent with who they really are, but only with who they think they are. Part of the lessons from this book is that we create our self-image based on our experiences. If we had successful experience, it builds our self-image. Some people cling on to the failure of their past, and when they start doing things, they are always thinking they are going to fail because of the past experience, and it works out that way. And there's a saying that if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. If you are so disturbed to believe that you can't do something, you're not going to do it. But if you believe in yourself that you can do something, you're going to go for it. So that's one of the lessons I got from this book. Another lesson is imagination. Anything that you can think of, you can achieve. That's a popular saying. However, in order to get anything done, you must imagine yourself as if you have already done it. You must behave, smell that success. You must internalize the feeling. You must act as though you have achieved greatness before you achieve it. Yesterday I spoke a little bit about this. You have to see the vision first before you can do anything great. The further this is what I want to say. There's short thinking and there's long thinking. The further away your thinking perspective, the more you can endure today, the more you can endure the hardship of today. If, for example, you see yourself in great places in 10 years, the daily activity is going to be a lot easier for you to endure. But if you don't see yourself in great places in 10 years, you're just going to live without, you're just going to live and your endurance level is going to be low. So imagination is key. There's a scientific fact that our nervous system does not differentiate between imagination and reality. Our nervous system, our brain does not differentiate between imagination and reality. That is why people can think themselves to anxiety and people can think themselves to happiness, because the body doesn't know that what you're thinking is not real. And that is one of the foundations to success. You think yourself to success. When you think about success, you begin to act like a successful person. And eventually, you're going to be successful. Because our system does not understand whether your thinking is real or imagined. That is why we have this experience sometimes. Most people have had the experience when you're eating and you're talking to yourself. You are having internal dialogue. You choke as if you are actually talking to somebody. I have that experience a lot when I'm eating and I'm having internal dialogue as if I'm having a conversation with someone. It chokes you because your nervous system thinks that you're actually talking to somebody. So you can envision yourself to success. You can think your way to success because your thinking would eventually manifest in your action, and your actions will give you the results you want. So if you think you can't be successful, you can't. Nobody can help you. But if you think you can be successful, yes, you can. So imagination is important. I have seen myself in this position many years before. That is why I'm able to do this now. If I had not envisioned myself as somebody that's in this position, I'm not going to do this. It takes a lot of preparation, a lot of self-confidence to come and do this. I've got other things to do. I've got some other things that are personal and important to me to do. But because I have envisioned doing this, I wrote it, I put it down in writing that today I'm going to do this video. That is why it is possible. So imagination is very important. We have to imagine that we are great. There's greatness in almost everybody. But the problem is we live in a society, we live with people who kill the greatness in us because they never told us that we are great. So what happens is we internalize their diminishing statements, we internalize their condemnation, and we forget how it is to be great. Everybody could be great with the right lessons, right motivation, right knowledge, and right actions. We don't all have to be Bill Gates, but in our own little environment, we can do greatness because success is defined as a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. If you have something important you want to do, and you are working your way towards doing that important things, you are a success. It doesn't mean that you're not making a lot of money. No. If you have set a goal or a set of goals and you're working towards your goal, that is the meaning of success. And somebody said, if you don't know how to be happy today, you are not in physical pain, but you don't know how to be happy. I'm sorry to tell you that there may not be any day that you're going to know how to be happy. Because whatever thing that you think is going to motivate you and make you happy, that thing is going to lose its taste. If it is a car, once you have a car and you use it for a year, it's going to lose that taste. So if you don't know how to be happy before you got a car is never going to make you happy. If it's a house, go and talk to people who have houses. After a year or two, you come back to your default position. So we have to learn how to be happy. And that is one of the lessons from this book. It teaches us how to be happy. And like I said before, living in the moment is one of the key means to happiness. Live in the moment. When you live in the moment, that's when you're going to recognize that you've got a beautiful phone. That's when you're going to recognize that you have access to the internet and appreciate that access. Live in the moment. Living in the moment is one of the important ways to be happy. And I do have another book about happiness, about not being worried, that I'll one day bring here to discuss. So, imagination is key to success, to happiness. The author talked about relaxation. Relaxation. Like I said before, when you're too futuristic, you have anxiety. When you live too much in the past, you might have depression, because you're going to worry too much about your failures and you let your failures define you. When you live too much in the future, you're going to have anxiety, because the complexity of future is too much that you cannot handle it appropriately today. Future is too complex. So how would you merge not living too much in the past with not living too much in the future? Is to live in the present. Make your plans. Make plans. That is important. Learn what you can learn. Learn everything there is to learn about how to get what you want. But leave the rest to the creator. Things always take care of themselves once you have done all you can do. Mark my words, all you can do. But what happens is we don't do all we can do. So we quit too early and we think we have done all there is to do. So when I encounter a difficulty, I tell myself that there's something I don't know that I should know, that if I know that thing, this problem is not going to happen to me. I take responsibility. Then I try to learn the lesson that the event has come to teach me. And I continue to do that. We have problems. Everybody has problems. But the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is that successful people have known and mastered how to solve problems. So the problem they solved once before, if it comes again, they are going to solve it so easily because they have that experience. But unsuccessful people don't learn to solve problems. They will blame everything else but themselves. Let me continue with this book. It talks about relaxing our mind. Relaxing our mind. I once talked about calmness. If we learn a skill, for example, we know how to swim, and by accident, we find ourselves in a river, right? If we are not calm, we'll forget that we know how to swim. That is one of the importance of being calm. When you are calm, that is when you remember the skills you learned before the accident, then use it. So when something happens, stay calm, stay relaxed. Sometimes you don't have to make decision outrightly. Go somewhere calm. Listen to the kind of music you like. Listen to something that calms your nerve. Then reflect on the incident. Most of the time, you'll find ways of solving those problems. But if you are anxious, you always make mistakes. So that's having a proactive lifestyle is important. Planning your way ahead of time is important. However, taking time to relax yourself is as important too. When you plan, take time to relax yourself, because we have this system in us. I don't know if it's spiritual, but I believe it's spiritual. Once you put your problems out there, You do all you can do to solve the problem, but just leave it out there. Things always take care of themselves that way. I'm not saying you should live like a fatalist. No, find ways to solve your problem, right? Think about the ways, but don't think too much that you're the only person responsible to solve that problem. No, there's a way God solves our problems for us. Once we have emotionalized our thought about that solution, I want something, right? I am working towards achieving what I want. I don't think too much about it. One day, something is going to happen. Some call it spiritual, but the white man calls it the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind works 24 hours once we have sent it a message. So when you put something out there to the subconscious mind, it continues working on connections that eventually make that thing happen. However, you need skills. You need all the lessons you can learn. You need all the practices and discipline to achieve those things. Once you have you have the skills, you're disciplined, you're committed about achieving what you want to achieve. Don't worry too much. Things are going to take place because your subconscious mind is working to make all this connection work for you. I want to believe that's why people pray, because we think that through prayer we can enhance and activate the subconscious to work a lot harder for us. If I have not lived this experience, I'm not going to come here to say it. I have attained some I have reached some degree in life that in my anticipation I thought it was going to happen in about 6 years, but things have happened in 1 year, in 2 years. It works because I followed principle I learned from books. So what I'm talking about are lessons that I live myself. So relaxation is an essential lesson from this book. Another lesson is to let the past go. The past is important to mold us. However, the error of the past should not define us. The writer talked about a system that, for example, if we are learning to drive, or let me make an example of a child who's learning how to walk. The child is going to make a lot more mistakes than correct steps. But we are built in such a way that we forget our mistakes and learn the perfect steps. So at the end of the day, the child is going to know how to walk. He said if repetition has anything to teach us, the repetition should be teaching us about our mistakes, not the right steps. So, but our nature is built in such a way that we forget the mistakes we make and learn the perfect steps. For example, again, when we are learning how to speak, we speak most of the time wrong words. But because our nature is built in a way that we forget our mistakes, so we learn the perfect speeches. At the end of the day, we become speakers. We know how to speak well. However, because of our conditioning, societal conditioning, cultural conditioning, parental conditioning, we began to learn how to retain our mistakes, and we define ourselves through those mistakes. That is why people who failed at one or two things believe they are failures. No, you are not a failure. You might fail. The same way you failed when you were trying to learn how to talk. You failed many times, but you forgot that you failed, you became a good speaker. If you try to do a business, you might fail. Try again. Try again. At the end of the day, focus on the lessons that you learn through the failure, not the failure itself, because you are not a failure. You failed because that is how we grow. We have to fail. But because we have become a lot more conscious and we are no more kids, we retain the memory of our failure. And at the end of the day, it negates the lessons to learn from that failure. So people don't want to try again for fear of failure. So that is not the way it should be. That's not the way it should be. We can fail. I have read books about people who have failed woefully. Woefully. I was reading about an author, about Dale Carnegie. And he had one life experience. I'm like, what? What? So there are people who have failed woefully, but they bounced back because they did not define themselves as failures. So when you try something and it doesn't work, it doesn't mean it's never going to work. It means you should try again and learn from the first experience. Try again, try again, try again. Eventually it's going to work. These principles I have used to advance my life, and I know they work. I have invested and waited on something that I thought was going to manifest. I waited for 4 years. Nothing happened. 4 years. It took me 4 years to learn a lesson. But once I learned that lesson, I was able to recover the loss in less than 2 years. So this is how it is. If you fail, just do it again. Do it again and do it again and do it again. Learn the lesson the event has come to teach you. There's a missing link. There's something that's important to learn. Once you learn that lesson, apply the lesson. That's how it is. Life is too important and it's too short to cling on to past mistakes. It's not going to help us. Everybody makes mistakes. But the people who advance, who are successful, are people who have learned from their mistake and apply the lesson again and again and again. So let go of past failures. When you fail, let it go. Learn the lesson and do it again. Like I explained earlier, when we were kids, we did not remember our failures. We only remembered our successes. From learning how to talk, we failed a lot of time learning how to talk. We failed a lot of time learning how to walk. We failed a lot of time learning how to associate with people. A kid is going to hit another kid, thinking that kid is an enemy. At the end of the day, they'll become friends. While learning to socialize with people, we failed. But at the end of the day, we mastered the good experience, and we continue to use it. We did not define ourselves by our failures. If we had defined ourselves by failing to speak, to learn a word, we will never learn that word and we won't even know how to speak our own mother tongue. But the mechanism was built in us. But after we became a lot more conscious, we started retaining failures, and it inhibits our success. So we stopped trying. So, and if you don't try, we're not going to succeed. So let go of the past failures. That's a key lesson. Will Durant say, forget mistakes, forget failures, forget everything except what you're doing now and do it. Forget that you once failed. Forget everything. Just do what you've got to do. Do what you're doing now. It is the most important thing to you now. What you're doing now is the most important activity of your life. Just do it. The writer also spoke about success mechanism. Success mechanism. He said that we were born with success mechanism in us. We were born in a way that we were meant to succeed. That is the nature of every human. That is why when we learn how to work, we succeeded in working. When we learn how to speak, we succeeded in speaking. When we learn how to socialize, we succeeded in socializing. So that means we were born to succeed. So when we have a problem, the writer suggested that once you get very clear about the problem, clarity, know the problem you have. The problem you intend to solve, know it. You should completely clean up your mind from any worry, expectation, and anxiety related to the problem. Erase your worries, erase your anxiety, and the end result is, in fact, the writer is suggesting that even the result you want to achieve from solving the problem, don't even think about it. Let the subconscious mind work on it. To explain this better, when you have a problem, identify the problem very clearly. Know that this is a problem. Don't worry. Just sleep over it. The subconscious mind works 24 hours. It's out there working for you. You're just going to suddenly wake up with the answer to the problem. You might be in the toilet using the bathroom and you just like, oh, this is the answer I've been looking for. This principle works. It is miraculous, but it works. When you have a huge problem, when you worry is like dragging the steering with the driver. That is what worry is about. God is working for you, but you're worried. When you're worried, you're dragging the direction of the vehicle with God. I'm saying God here because it resonates with many of us. When you worry, it's like driving the steering with God. God is just going to leave it for you. Okay, well, if God, you can have an accident, God can't. So when there's a problem, try as much as possible to be calm and separate yourself from worry. Leave it to God. Something miraculously that you can't explain is going to happen. We experience this thing all the time, but we just don't pay attention to it. We experience it all the time. We don't pay attention to it. Sometimes you're thinking that you need to call someone, and suddenly that person calls you. Because you were not worried about calling that person, your subconscious, God, has gone over there to connect you to that person, and the person calls. You'll be like, and I had wanted to call you. So you thought about the problem and you left it to God. And miraculously, the person got the vibration at the other end and they called. So we experience this thing a lot, but we don't pay attention that it is a principle, it is a mechanism, it is a natural mechanism that works. So let your success mechanism do the work. We are built to be successful. So once you know all there is to know about the subject, once you do all you can do about the problem, just leave the rest to God. Things connect. That's how it is. So this is what he recommended. Think intensively about the problem. Gather all the information you need. Consider possible deviations. And last, but certainly not the least, have burning desire to solve it. I'm going to repeat this. Think intensively about the problem. Emotionalize your thinking. Gather all the information there is. Gather all the information you need. Consider possible deviations. Consider other possibilities, and have a burning desire to solve it. Intensify your desire to get a solution, and just leave the rest. Things are going to happen, so don't worry too much. That's the essence of that position. Another important point here is stop assuming. A lot of us make these mistakes. We assume too much. So we think there are ignorant people who think they know, and they will talk to you with so much confidence as if they know what they're talking about. And in these days of internet, ignorant people will come online and beat their chest about wrong information. I'm like, these people are misleading others. It's so rampant nowadays because of assumptions. Somebody will just come and I can't, it worries me that falsehood spread so fast. And this is the means that some people are using to get educated. Some people don't have time to read books. They don't have time to go to school. So they go online and they believe almost everything anyone says. And they want to lead their life according to their truth, which is actually falsehood. So if I say something and I later consider that, my information is not 100% correct, I will either delete that video or come back again and correct my error because, I can say something and it's a mistake. Stop assuming, start rationalizing. Assumption has led to divorce. Assumption has led to collapse of business relationships. Assumptions has led to collapse of family ties. Assumption has led to so many serious problems. When we see a man and a woman come out of a hotel, we assume that they have gone there to do what we think they do there. Whereas the possibilities of things they could be doing at that place is endless. It's very, very endless. They might not even have gone in there together. They might not be coming out of the hotel together. So many possibilities. So let's rationalize. Let's get our facts right. The fact that you heard somebody talking on the phone and when you came in, they stopped talking doesn't mean they are talking about you. But if you assume, you're going to say that person is talking about you and you're going to act on that assumption, and that is the collapse of the relationship between you and that person. That person might be talking about their personal problem that they don't want you to know. It might be a coincidence that they stopped talking when you came in. So let's rationalize. Let's just stop assuming. Assumption has spoiled so many things, so many happiness. Assumption has stopped so many relationships, family ties, just because you assumed that this is what happened instead of clarifying and rationalizing about rationalizing the occurrence. You make mistakes. Mistakes do not make you. Which means if you make a mistake, that's a mistake. Let it go. You are not your mistake. Your mistake is a mistake. The mistake is not making you. You made that mistake and it's gone. The sad reality is that most people do not understand or fail to follow through with this. Instead, they carry around what happens is fact. What they carry around a what happened is fact mentality. They assume of false logic, assumption.
Yeah.
Somebody who failed an exam might go around with the mentality that they are a failure, instead of the fact that I failed my exam doesn't mean I'm a failure. There's a difference between failing your exam and becoming a failure. You can fail an exam and pass other important life lessons. So you are not a failure for failing a particular thing, for failing an exam. You are not a failure. So the fact is that you fail mathematics. Yes. And the fact is that you did not fail life. So if you assume that your failure of mathematics equals to your failure of life, you're going to lead your life like a failure. And that is not helpful to you. We must realize that our negative beliefs usually do not come from facts or logical explanations, but instead our own views and conclusions on them. Instead of drawing false conclusions, the solution is to start rationally thinking, using consciousness and logic to decipher whether or not something is actually true or concrete, instead of baseless assumptions. Let us be truthful to ourselves and be truthful to others. Let's be realistic. That you failed something doesn't mean you failed life. If you didn't study properly, you can fail a test. If you failed that test, it doesn't mean that if you studied properly, you would fail. So the failure does not define you. You are not your mistake. Another lesson here is success versus failure mechanism. I think I already spoke about this, that we are naturally built with success mechanism. However, we activated our failure mechanism through consciousness, through cultural inhibition, through being talked down on. That is how we manifested our failure mechanism. And I made an example of a child who is growing up and learning how to walk. The child failed a lot more than they succeeded, but they did not retain the lessons of their failure. They retained the lessons of their success. That is why they are able to walk. So we were naturally born to retain our success mechanism, but through environmental conditioning, parental conditioning, and all that, we manifested our failure mechanism and we started remembering our failures. And that caused more failures. And that caused us to not try. And if we don't try, we can't succeed. I'm going to talk about this one lesson and stop here. The writer spoke about being happy. Somebody thinks he's going to be happy after completing the payment of his mortgage. That's not true. If you're not happy while you're paying your mortgage, you're not going to be happy when you complete paying your mortgage. Somebody thinks he's going to be happy when the semester is over. The semester is going to be over. If you are not happy during the semester, you are not going to be happy when the semester is over. Somebody thinks he's going to be happy when he falls in love. If you are not happy when you are not in love, it's not sure that you're going to be happy when you fall in love. Because what happens is that desire after you achieve it, it becomes normal. When I have my papers, I'm going to be happy. When you get your papers becomes a normal thing to you. It doesn't ginger you anymore. And that's how life is. If you are not happy with your present situation and you don't have physical pain, you're not in pain, and you're not happy, it's not very sure that you're going to be happy when all those things you think you want, when you achieve those things you think you want, it's not likely that you're going to be happy. So what people do is they postpone happiness. Like, when I finish school, I'm going to be happy. When I do this, I'm going to be happy. At the end of the day, they forget how to be happy. Because what you don't do regularly, you forget. If you continue postponing your happiness, at the end of the day, you forget how to be happy. That is why it is important to celebrate your little achievements. If you're learning to cook and you have perfected cooking, celebrate. Make yourself a very beautiful meal and eat it. Celebrate your little successes. Because at the end of the day, if you don't do that, even after you achieve that great success, you won't even think it's worthy of anything to celebrate. So appreciate life. Appreciate little things. Tomorrow might not come. Tomorrow might not be might not be better. But the accumulation of your happiness is a pointer that you're going to be a lot happier tomorrow. So celebrate your little wins. If you come online to listen to my dialogue, to listen to my digest, and you succeeded in listening from the beginning to the end, that is something. Appreciate yourself for having that patience to do it. Thousands and millions of people won't have that patience. That is why it takes about 5% of people to lead. Because most people will not be patient to exercise the principles that make them leaders. So that I am here now doing this, I feel happy. I feel happy because I'm doing what I want to do. I'm doing what I have dreamt of doing. So that after this show, I'm gonna a little bit celebrate that I have done it. So I will stop the lessons here, and I hope to continue again next week because it's a big book. Okay. I can't even talk about all the lessons in this book. It's too powerful. And there are practices, there are recommendations that if you want this, do this. So it's even if it's going to take you a whole year to listen to the audiobook or to read the physical book, try to get it and read it. You're not going to regret it. You're not going to remain the same again after reading this book. You are not going to remain the same after reading or listening to this book. Cybernetics. Try to get it and read it. So I am going to end my program here, and I'll plead to you listening to this to please share the book, share the program. Let it get to somebody that might benefit from listening to it. I know somebody is going to get this book and read it, even though they won't come here to acknowledge that they got the book and read it. But I know somebody is going to get it. I have contributed positively to human development by recommending a good book to somebody who is willing to read. I have done my part. There are people doing theirs in their own ways. I have done my part. I have come to the realization that there's little you can do by giving people money. That is not going to go far. Because attributes of people who become financially independent is different from attributes of people who are not financially independent. So if you give people money without the appropriate lessons, they're going to squander it. I have done that. I have done a lot of that. I have given people money and they come back again to ask for. I mean, within my little scope of financial ability, I have done that, and I have seen people who have done that a lot too. So it's not really about that substance. It's not really about that money. It's more about the lessons to use what we've got, which is our mind, than to use the material thing, to use money or to use things like that. So I hope I have been able to disseminate some important information, and I hope that somebody is blessed by listening and grabbing their copy of this book. So I am going to be here for the next 2-3 minutes to see if I have any friend online who is willing to join in. And also, I am open to being questioned. If you have any question that you think you want to throw at me, send me a message through direct messaging, Facebook Messenger. You can join in on my show and ask me questions. I will answer what I can answer, and if I don't have answers to your question, I have resources to direct you to. So I'm gonna stay here for 2-3 minutes to see if there's anybody interested in joining in. So, but while I do that, I'll enjoy my juice. The internet is a blessing to us. It now depends on how we use it. It depends on how we use it. It is a blessing as well as a curse for people who misuse the internet, because it is very addictive. You can be addicted to using Facebook. You can be addicted to Instagram. You can be addicted to TikTok. And it wastes a lot of your time. And the owners make money off of you being addicted to their app. So we lose focus because we spend too much time online. And when we lose focus, the gain, we lose. Because we can't achieve greatness without focus. Without focus, without dedication to what we want, without dedication to our goals, without dedication to our cause. But the distraction of social media is not even good to our brain. It's not good to our brain. My phone, apart from calls, I don't get any alert on my phone, apart from calls. If you message me, I'm not going to see it, because it's a lot of distraction for somebody like me who I need my peace, I need my time to concentrate and do something that I'm more productive. So we should try to desist from too much use of the internet. It's not helping us. It's not helping us. Being clinging onto TikTok or Facebook or Instagram for so many hours, that's not helping us. Unless you're going there to watch specific, creative, intellectual, educative programs, I'll say don't spend too much of your time on those things. They're stealing our life. I have fallen victim of that. It took me a while to get out of it. Before you know it, I'm on Facebook for 30 minutes, for 1 hour. Like giving my life to Facebook is hard. I don't want to continue to do that. So if you have that problem, try to rid yourself of that problem. So I am going to take my leave here now, because I don't think I have people who might be willing to join. So I hope to see you guys again tomorrow. If you benefit from this show, please share it. Let someone else benefit from it. And thank you very much for listening. Bye-bye.